Computer. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our April podcast. Once again, these podcasts is to introduce the broader world to some amazing people that we have within the Laughter Yoga Australia community and the wonderful work that they're doing, and certainly to get everyone's perception clear about exactly what it is we're doing as well, too. We have a wealth of amazing people that we can actually call on to do these podcasts, no more than my guest today, who is Phillipa Challis. Phillipa, welcome. And first of all, I need to find out something that even I don't know because I've known you for so long I can't remember. Who were you before laughter?
Phillipa Challis was a professional speaker, and the professional speaking came about because as a young girl, I had beautiful diction. How now, brown cow was quite normal until I got to school and it abated, and mum and dad would sit me down and say, Mother, father, yes, no, got me to speak properly. So when I was at school, when I was after school into different associations, I'd always be called upon to do the speaking because people would want to hear and my melodious tone. And with my speaking, I found that I ended up in the training sphere because when I left school, I went straight into the corporate world, into a senior position by mistake, but no one ever realized it. And when I asked for a raise, didn't get it. That caused a laugh, and I left. And my career saw me always standing up, speaking to people. When I was called upon here, where I live in Geelong, some years ago, and asked, could I please come and talk to the convention of the Toastmistresses? I don't think they exist anymore. It's just Toastmasters now.
Mm.
And I said, by all means. So off I went, and I'd often been asked to speak, Merv. And when I went, they'd give me an envelope with a book voucher, whatever. So I went off and spoke at this 500 plus people. And when I was there, the audience was filled with laughter as I told the Phillipa Challis story, how I'd left school, my career, and there were no other women to support in those days. And laughter was taken as being something you shouldn't do in a serious setting. So I get up and I speak and I go home and I said to my husband, here you are, darling, have this envelope. You can use it because I thought it'd be a book voucher. He'd go and buy one. He said, you sure I can have this? I said, why? He said, you really want me? Absolutely. He said, I think you better read it. And I looked at it and it was $500.
Oh,
So we're talking back in the 80s.
oh.
And I thought, oh, people pay for this. And the topic that I had in those days was your number one asset is you. And I've traveled the world globally doing it and still do it.
Why,
And
why did you select that? That's an interesting topic. It's a good topic, but why did you select that?
I'm a girl who was rather large for many years. You've known me, and it's only the last 24 months I have lost 35 kilos, come to the new me. But in those days, being a big girl and referred to as Geelong's Maggie Tabra, I found that people would come to me, and when I started and was involved with a modelling and deportment academy and I taught people, I found that when people came, they didn't realise what they had. They didn't realise. So my topic when I spoke was saying, hey, be the best you. This is what you can do. Now, as I started to do that and coming from a corporate background, and then when I married, going into retail, had 10 wonderful years in Anglesey and Victoria near the surf beaches, I found that people wanted to know what was my secret, how did I do it? And I'd talk about life and how in life you've got different aspects. I said, one of the fun things in life is to laugh a lot. I just grew up with laughter in our home, always. And when I was working in the corporate sector, training and staff training and development of customer service, sales, and generally professional personal presentation skills, having run the Modelling and Deportment Academy, what would happen is that I'd say the component you need to enjoy and embrace most is family. It's family first, work second, and everything else is third. So my reports would come back, as you know, they assess you when you speak, and very blessed. I thought it was normal that you only got fives and fours or tens and nines. And often it would say, oh, she was wonderful. I've never laughed so much. And I realized that I had been using laughter as a tool. So I move on to that wonderful life, got married, moved down from Melbourne to Geelong, had a beautiful daughter who now lives with me since my husband passed. And in all those years that I've been presenting, the topic that was standing out was the number one asset is you, because I could say, hey, look at me, look what I've achieved, and how do I do it? Because every morning when I wake up, if I look in the mirror and I say, hi, gorgeous, I mean, it can only get better. And when I realized this, and speaking as I did with assistance from National Speakers Association, now professional speakers, I met a vast whole raft of wonderful people. And one of them, a chap from South Australia, was into laughter yoga. And I thought laughter yoga. And I went along to say, oh, how ridiculous is this? Didn't feel silly doing it, but I thought, oh, God, this is weird. And naturally felt so much better afterwards. I mastered how I could laugh and do something I did naturally. So taking that out into the corporate sphere was wonderful. That's where my work was, and got more engagements. And all of a sudden, and it was in 2001, I started Laughter Club Geelong, which was the first laughter club in Victoria. And at one peak, we had 40 odd clubs.
Had you met Kataria at this stage?
I didn't. The chap in South Australia who'd had the pleasure of Kataria's company, he introduced me by way of here he is. And I actually brought him to Melbourne in 2001 at the Melbourne Town Hall, and we had a laughter. I don't know if you were even there for that one. I can't remember.
No, I came after that.
Yes. And so then came the idea of let's have a convention and bring him out. And so Laughter Clubs Victoria was formed. And the foundation of that was basically to make sure we had insurance, public liability. And today that still goes well. There aren't the volume of clubs in that it's been decimated by COVID. However, the Zoom has taken over and you've got in person. And you will know more than others how we've exploded nationwide. And the ones in Victoria, well, my own club that I started, the first one, was July 2001. So we're 25 years old this year.
Wow.
Very proud of that. And in fact, we only this year, it's the first time ever, only once have we not been there on a Saturday morning. For those who travel down to Victoria into Geelong at the waterfront in front of our swimming enclosure, you'll find us every Saturday, 9 o'clock.
So, what's interesting about what you just said was you always got people laughing. Um, Before laughter yoga come along, what trait or quality did you have to actually get people to laugh?
Self-deprecation.
Oh, it's an absolute it is an absolute a type of comedy, self-deprecating humor. It is. I often use this to get people to laugh as well too. And the reason is because you're not punching down on anybody, you're punching at yourself. That can be, of course, quite debilitating if you start believing what you're saying. But self-deprecating humor is definitely a way of getting people to laugh. So, with the laughter yoga, how did you find that transition from actually saying something to get people to laugh to just getting them to laugh?
When I reflect back on it, I've always had the ability to get people to laugh with me,
Right,
not at me.
right.
Because at age 12, I was the height I am now, which was 5'6". I don't know what that metric, 165,
Oh,
yeah.
so thereabouts 165, I think. Yeah.
Something like that. And I was, in the old days, I think it was, let's say 12 stone, which is about 70 or 80 kilos, let's say something like that. So at 12, I was a big girl. I used to say, like Marilyn Monroe, 36, 26, but she was 36, I was 42. So I had a big bum. So I could refer to that. And I then started my working life and speaking in front of people. And I would have some wonderful throwaway lines. Who is Phillipa Challis? And I would talk about where I was at, some of my past activities, such as one of the things people don't know about me, and that's how I met my late husband, was I was into motorsport. I used to race cars. And
Oh.
it's a great talking point. And when I was working with the men, they would love it. And the other thing that I would say when I was doing it is, so as you can see, and I'd use the line about Maggie Tabra and Geelong's answer because it was on the front page of the Geelong Eddy. And I was saying, as you can see, I admire the perfect size 12 so much that I've done it twice over. That got rid of the fact I was a big girl. So I'd learned to use that. So when I was introduced to the laughter and realized people don't laugh, they don't know how to laugh, they've forgotten how to laugh, they've let laugh get on top of them. I found that when I met up with the laughter yoga, that I could introduce it to people and again bring them with me and have them laughing with me and to see the results. Well, unlike you with your writing of books, and there is one in me that will come out one day when I retire, when I'm an old lady. Oh, that's right, I am an old lady. I have a lot of anecdotes of wonderful stories about how it's affected and helped people. So each time I did a group, and I've been blessed, Merv, every time I'd go to a corporate setting, commercial setting, organisations, I would find that I'd speak to a group, do a presentation, and then I'd be at a convention, I'd be on stage. And when I go stage now, a professional speaker will often be told it's the back of room book sales that will get you the money. No, it wasn't. It was the word of mouth referral. And that's how I've lived my life for the last 25 years.
There's an old saying in national speakers where I spent a decade with yourself and other people that do you have to get the audience to laugh? And then the saying went on that, oh, only if you want to get paid. How I always thought that was cute, and I'm not a comedian, as you are not a comedian. That's another skill set altogether. So I struggled with the concept of getting people to laugh first up. Was there a trick or something that you used? I know you said the self-deprecating humor, but was there some other level of engagement to get them on board? Because you've got to have the trust of people to even get them to laugh.
Well, depending on the setting and whom I was speaking to, as I said, because of my back passion of motorsport, if it was males, I'd talk about that. If I was with women, I'd talk about running the deportment and modelling school and make light of the fact that as the Maggie Tabra of Geelong, and that's the third time I've referred to it, I won't say it again, God, this soul, that you can always put your best foot forward and to smile. See, I'm a great believer, and as we know, a smile is the start of laughter.
Mm.
I've always had that ability to have people with me in conversation because my premise in life is that you need to get people interested and be interested in people and not be interesting.
Oh, say that one more time.
Be interested in people, not interesting.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating because in national speakers, they very much told us to promote ourselves and who we are and what's our topic. And it was very much in your face, or it was for me anyway. And the other speakers that I met were very, very good at promoting themselves, yet having not that great an interest in some other people. And I've certainly found that. Kevin Sheedy, the notable
Yes.
AFL footballer and coach. I followed him since I was this big when he was playing for Richmond. And I saw him at a corporate function, and there was just one thing that stuck in my head. And he said, never let an interesting person pass you by. I was,
Yes.
I wonder what that means. And then I found everybody interesting. And all of a sudden, I wanted to go, why is that person interesting? And I had this curiosity about people and getting to know people. And from that, I learned, especially with laughter and when people came along to laughter sessions, that they may be carrying something with them that they're really, really struggling with. And if you can just have that conversation with them and then get them to laugh through that challenge, it's a blessing. Tell me some stories. You must have, well, first of all, what did it do for you? So 25 years ago, you started Laughter Club. What did it do for you in the initial phases, and what's it done for you over 25 years?
Wow. Initially, I thought, the hell am I doing here? Because I'd gone off to corporate presentations, visualize it. the cobalt blue that I'm wearing now because it's my color, and I'd have the big shoulder pads, the pearls, the bouffant hairstyle, high heels, purely corporate, the whole tragedy. And I recall when Channel 7 said to me, "Oh, look, we'd like to do a shot of you, and we could do it in Melbourne, and we could do it in front of, remember the vacant land that used to be in front of the Regent Theatre on the corner of Swanson and Collins." So there I am now in my suit doing a laughter thing, which was ridiculous. And today, well, I'd wear what I've got on because it's a happy place. You don't need, and society has changed. So that was number one. When I first started, and I think, oh God, everyone's looking at how's this going, I couldn't give a hoot now because I know the benefits of laughter are myriad. It's helped, and I'd like to think I've helped thousands and thousands of people over the years. And I'll come to the stories in a minute. What the changes have been is the people are starting to accept it. And I've said to you before, it only takes 20 years to be an overnight success.
In,
People know, and I say I'm a laughter yogi. Oh, yes, and so it goes. Now, because of my work in the corporates and a lot that I would do in schools, particularly with the kids, well, you get the kids laughing, and it's easy to do when you've got a kids. I love going to schools because the older children, you talk with them. I get there early and talk about them. They're interesting. So when I speak, and I talk about laughter, I've known, oh, now, Freddie, when you're doing your hockey, he just won the hockey championship. I said, you know, you get out there, you muck up. We're not perfect all the time. Well, some of us are. And, and what do? You laugh. Because there's such a fine life between laughing and crying, which you want to do. It's lovely to have that reaction. And I've found that a number of people over the years, when they've got the grasp of it without even knowing, and my greatest joy every Saturday when I'm down there, because I'm not there every week, someone else is sometimes, when I see someone coming up, oh, this is ridiculous, I can't, people are white, then all of a sudden you see that in the laughter that they're affecting, which was just is genuine. And I can see in my audiences, whether it's only a group of 6 or 6,000, you can tell when people suddenly realize, oh, I'm really laughing. And that's the gift it gives them that I get. And often, like you do a lot of pro bono work for the community. And when you do that and you see the joy in their face, you know why you're doing it.
Any particular stories of individuals who have had an epiphany with the laughter?
Two, I mentioned the Eastern Beach,
Yep.
and it's a gorgeous, there's a boardwalk where you walk around the enclosure. And one particular morning I got down there and people say, well, why do you do laughter club if sometimes doesn't happen all that often? There's only 2 or 3. Well,
Mm.
on this day, there was only this woman and I. And I remember spending time with her and having a laugh. She cried a bit, we laughed a bit, and she went on her way. We didn't go for more, as I call it, laughter over a latte. And last year, woman comes to, don't know her, and she picked up the book and signed it because everyone as they arrive puts there just to give a name. And she said, you might remember me, Phillipa. It's probably about 10 or 12 years. And when I came to you, you saved my life. I said, well, I'm thrilled. And she said, no, I'd come down that day. I had walked out on the boardwalk and I came back and I put my bag down when you spoke to me. And we had that time together. She said, actually, I'd put down my bag to go back into the water to drown because I can't swim. She'd gone there to commit suicide. Well, I can tell you, Merv, that it's worth it. You've only got one person turn up, it's worth it. It's a really powerful, true story. Oh,
Amazing stories like that, and they're hard to believe until it happens to you. I was doing a research study with kidney dialysis patients, and someone said to me, "You realize you're saving lives, don't you?" And I'm going, "What?" And it took a little while to for that to sink in that you are saving a person's life from taking their own life, but saving it from a quality perspective, in that they can have more joy in their life as well. You mentioned a second story as well.
yes. Ben. Ben and his mum came to a lunch that was being done. And I think this was the carers having lunch with this particular group where people had a number of disabilities. And we did the laughter session, and it was an Alzheimer's group, basically.
Mm.
And at the end of the lunch, up comes mum with the adult daughter and the young fellow who was in a wheelchair. And she said, "We've not met, but can I please give you a hug?" She said that was just the most amazing experience for me and my daughter. And the daughter's got tears in her eyes. And she said, "Ben's been like this for 3 years since he had his acquired brain injury. And he hasn't known who we are. But when we were doing the laughter, he said, 'Mum,' and he said my name."
Mm.
So, as was my habit after any presentation driving home when my husband was alive, I would say, "No, oh, it went well. How did it go?" And I rang and I'm crying my heart out. He said, "What's the matter?" I said, "Pull over. What's going on?" And I regard the story. So they're just two standout highlights. But I feel so blessed every day I get up. I don't go to work. I have the joy of being able to pass on that gift. And I say to people, please help me. My passion in life is spreading the happy demic of laughter.
Nice. So you must have had some challenges, personal and business, over the 25 years, and we've got laughter. Yes. What's kept you going? One thing that people may or may not know is you and your husband, I believe, received an award. Was it an Order of Australia
An
medal?
OAM.
Yeah, yeah. What was
Mhm.
that for? And
For my work in the community of Geelong and for what I did in establishing Laughter Clubs Victoria and being a laughter yogi for all those 20 odd years and taking it out into the community. So I speak and seek out to corporates so that they can pay the bill, because it hasn't been easy over the years with different things. But in turn, I can do that pro bono work. So when I go to a group that's got all sorts of conditions, and there's so many varied, and I'll put that in the book one day, because you never know. You never know who you're going to meet and who it's going to affect and how it'll affect them. And if you know that, I think the greatest compliment I was ever paid was I got a phone call. One of my past laughers had passed away, and the family said, "Would I come to the funeral and have some of the laughter people there? And could we do a laugh for the deceased?" Oh, I said a few words and I said, "So we'd like to do the appreciation laugh. And this is for the deceased." And I showed everybody, bring the hands together, different things in different culture, but this means thank you, we appreciate you and all you've done, and to the heart. Well, it was the most wonderful gift that I had as a compliment that I'd helped someone, and I feel blessed.
so with challenges that we have in our lives, you must get up some mornings and go, "Oh, I don't want to go to Laughter Club." What keeps you going?
Well, I'm selfish. It's good for
Oh,
me.
stop! Oh, stop there. Selfish. Explain.
Yes, because the laughter's for me. When I get up and don't feel well, to go to Laughter Club Geelong, I park the car, I walk 100 steps down off the high down to the flat. That means coming back, there are two banks of 17 steps, and there's three banks of three. And you mentioned my challenges. Yes, I've had health issues since I got COVID. And as the doctor said, he believes that the laughter kept me alive when I had a 40-degree temperature for 5 days.
Wow.
Family was asked, did I have my affairs in order? But I always had that bit of a laugh. When you're not breathing well, you have a little laugh. And when I go on a Saturday and get down the bottom, my whole object is to get people to laugh. And I ring in. If there's only three people, I'll accost anyone walking past. "Would you like to share a laugh? It's free." And we end up with more people and we laugh. They laugh, I laugh. I have a smile on my face seeing how other people have laughed. I then have my challenge, my Mount Everest, because climbing 100 steps when you're not well with a enlarged heart and fluid on the lungs from what the wretched COVID did, but I can still laugh. And aren't we lucky to be here? And people coming down the stairs who never come to laughter but see me and say, "Good morning, laughter lady."
Mm.
Or how's the Queen of Chuckle today? And I think, how lucky am I? That's what keeps me going.
If you had a magic wand and could wave it and make laughter yoga bigger or better than what it is, we're putting a stake in the sand and saying it's time for a laughter revolution. And we've just had the situation with President Trump and the tariffs and the stock markets crashing more than they have in any other period in the history of the modern world. What's the one thing that we're not doing that we need to do now, especially seeing as there is such a need for us? What are we missing, Philippa, in your opinion?
We're missing the joy de vivre of being here. How fortunate are we? I am riddled with now. I'm a $1 million woman. I've got so much metal with replaced knees, replaced hips, work on the heart, all this sort of thing. And I don't say that for the sympathy vote, but just to say. But every time I'm uncomfortable, and it's an effort to do my steps of a Saturday morning, I simply say, "How lucky am I?" Because if I was a paraplegic, I couldn't do it. Or I get in the car and I think, "Oh my God, what have I got to do? Look at the list. How lucky am I that I can drive my car?" And I give acknowledgement. My affirmation to myself is, how blessed and lucky am I?
I think it's a thing called gratitude, is it right?
Yes, but some people have turned the word gratitude, just it's not a word I like to use that much. It's just an acknowledgement that you are special. Your number one asset is you, so make the most of it every day. And I do, even if it's a bad day. And I give myself permission, because as you can see, and people will notice that I'm over 65 and some years, and I'll leave it at that. But I'm here and others aren't. So look around you, and what Nike says, just do it and laugh.
I'm,
I'm
I'm
having a
having,
bad day.
I'm having a particular giggle there because I have a seniors card, an over 65 card, and I'll go up and order a seniors meal, and I'll say to the lovely young person, "Oh, you'll probably want confirmation of that by seeing my card, won't you?" And she goes, "No."
I love it. I love it. No, I love being the age I am, and it's more than 65. And I think there are so many people who haven't made it. So I get up of a morning, I get in the cars, my neighbours walk past. If I don't know them, I smile, beautiful day. I acknowledge that we are here, and there is so much opportunity to share the laughter. And if you can make one person laugh each day, let alone the hundreds that you and I are gifted that we have the opportunity to do, it's that's what keeps me going.
I think that's a great place to finish this. I knew we would have no trouble in smashing out half an hour. I've been intrigued by your story. I am in awe of the work that you've done to date and continue to do so. This legacy lives forever with the work that you've done. So thank you for giving up half an hour of your time. A plug, where can people find you, Philippa? Where are you? How can they get in touch with you?
Well, my business is Live Life Laughing. So they can go to LinkedIn, would be the best one for a business. And if they'd like to book me, and I'd be happy. As I said, I speak, I present, and talk on a raft of other things from my background, and feel that if anyone wants to get in touch, they could even ring on 0418 521265.
And said so eloquently.
Thank you.
Philippa, thank you for the last 20 years of being my friend and befriending me with laughter yoga back in those days when we were national speakers. Good health to you and keep up the good work.
And as I say to everybody, live life laughing.
That's it. Thank you so much.